Tonight on CFTK-TV News, firefighters are warning to be careful with electronic vehicles. Kitimat is likely to have quite the challenge organizing a new hockey season, and BC's major party leaders had a debate on a radio show.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cale Maslin, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for today. The Kitimat General Hospital's emergency room was closed yet again today due to staffing shortages. The emergency department will be unavailable between 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. People in the Kitimat area who need life-threatening emergency care should call 911 for transport to the nearest available and appropriate facility. This is the 11th time the emergency room was closed due to staffing shortages since August alone. Thanks to the combined efforts of the Prince Rupert Port Authority and the Gitniao Hulip Society, a brand new food security center was opened. The two parties were able to build this multi-purpose facility thanks to the authority's Community Investment Fund, and it should help make opportunities to process wild and farmed foods and prepare traditional indigenous medicines. The center is located in Gitniao Village, which is just off of Highway 37 between the communities of Terrace and Smithers. Another specified purpose of the center is for it to act as a community space where people can either reclaim or share traditional knowledge and cultural practices in the Gitniao area. More information about the center can be found on the PRPA's website. With the increase in popularity of e-bikes, e-scooters, and e-vehicles, firefighters are warning the public to be vigilant when purchasing and charging these devices. Now to CFTK's Jaylene Matthews with more.
There can be a lot of benefits to hopping on the e-vehicle trend. Bike riders get a boost, scooters help many get around, and e-vehicles provide an alternative to gas engines. But firefighters say to be careful when using these devices.
The biggest thing nowadays is with those lithium ions, it's charging them. We're charging them inside our homes. Once they're overheating, the acid inside the batteries, that's where those explosions and those fires are happening. So all we're asking people is if you are buying these e-bikes and the little scooters, the little hoverboards, is charge them into a safe area. Have them out on a concrete floor in a safe area that if they do catch fire, that you'll be able to either remove it from the area or nothing combustible is around them. We've only had one so far in the last couple of years, and it was an e-bike. They were charging it right up against the side of the house, and unfortunately it did catch the house on fire as well. I think it was either charging too long or a fault somewhere within the charger. It definitely started because you can see where the incinerator of the charger and the cord itself was completely gone at that time. So we suspected that that's what it was.
Captain Doss says it's important to consider where you're investing.
You want to do all your background check on everything, right? So if you are buying something that's an off-market, off-brand name, you are putting yourself a little more at risk with those products.
Proper disposal is also key to avoiding fires.
Disposing of batteries, you want to do your research on that as well. Let's recycle them, whether it's ABC Battery Recycle. You want to contact those proper people to recycle those batteries. Don't just be throwing them in the garbage. They end up in the landfill, and then again, if there's a problem with it there, that's where the fires will happen as well.
For CFTK News in Terrace, I'm Jaylene Matthews.
It will be a more challenging season for Kitimat when it comes to organizing hockey, and here's CFTK's Damian Smith with more on the subject.
CFTK caught up with Kitimat Mayor Phil Germuth for some questions concerning the upcoming hockey season. And while the Kitimat Ice Demons have started up their season in the CIHL, the same cannot be said about the NJHL for the second season in a row.
So all we really know is that there is no Kitimat Sax this year. I believe the league is not running this year. We definitely don't have a team is what I know for sure, and unfortunately that's all I know.
The municipality will only have one rink to skate on as well for the time being, after a fire back in March at the Kitimat Ice Rink.
I don't know if the full cause has been 100% identified, but we believe it was an electrical fixture that caused a fire, and really it's a lot of smoke damage. There wasn't a whole lot of structural damage, but a lot of smoke damage in an arena. You can imagine once you get the soot in there, it covers everything. So it's going to be a lot of cleanup and stuff like that. So unfortunately, definitely for the first part of this year, we'll be running on one arena. So our leisure services coordinator has been, of course, reorganizing everything. Our manager of leisure services practices, reorganizing all the different, skating and hockey, and of course, teams that maybe used to have some more easier times to practice at might have to be a little bit later or earlier, given we only have the one arena to work with.
From CFTK, I'm Damian Smith.
Coming up next, many BC candidates are needing to replace signs due to vandalism and thievery. Welcome back to the election now, as there were several exchanges between the three major BC party leaders as they faced off for the only radio debate of the campaign. Issues ranged from affordability to climate change to crime, and nearly every topic drew fireworks. CTV's Rob Buffum was there to take it all in.
Want to talk about the disastrous effects.
The leaders in the same room for the first time this campaign, and it didn't take long for fireworks. A radio debate on CKNW, affordability sparking a heated exchange.
I hear John talk about the Rustad rebate. It's the Rustad long wait.
Misleading, once again, which is what weak leaders tend to do.
Green leader Sonia Furstenau taking a shot at EB's tax plan.
We're going to give you $1,000 in your pocket, so vote for us. As opposed to, we're going to make sure that the healthcare system's working.
On healthcare, while acknowledging ER closures and doctor shortages are still a stubborn problem, EB produced a printout of this tweet from a year ago by a Conservative candidate, suggesting the candidate thought COVID vaccines cause AIDS.
Do you find it acceptable that your candidate is promoting the view in the North that COVID vaccines cause AIDS?
Rustad didn't directly address the tweet, but after the debate said all vaccines had to be available, safe, and that there be a choice. More heated exchanges followed on public safety. The NDP leader pointing to Rustad's pushback on federal gun restrictions. Rustad challenging EB's toughness on crime.
We have a premier who actually wrote the book entitled How to Sue the Police. You cannot take his advice on how to tackle crime.
The gloves stayed off until the end.
I wouldn't trust John Rustad to run my Thanksgiving dinner conversation or with the family, let alone a hospital where my kids have to be safe.
We have so many issues that need to be debated, and David Eby only wants to go negative. And I get that, because he can't defend his record.
We've had all these big announcements. We're spending $100 million here, $200 million there, $1 billion here, and we're not seeing the outcomes that we should expect from government.
The leaders took their fight to the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade for a second round this afternoon, giving speeches and fielding questions from the business community 6 days ahead of the lone televised debate next Tuesday.
We're nearly halfway through the campaign, and many candidates need to both repair and replace signs. On a regular basis, all over BC, they're either being vandalized or stolen. The parties don't often agree, but they're united in one message: leave our stuff alone. CTV's Shannon Patterson reports.
The campaign signs went up the moment the writ was dropped.
These are the small signs.
But the day after North Vancouver Seymour candidate Susie Chant's team put up signs in her riding.
One of my large signs had been actually actively defaced. A couple more were knocked over, and a number of my small signs were just gone. They'd been put where they were allowed to be put, and they were just gone. So it was very disconcerting.
In Esquimalt Colwood, BC Conservative candidate John Wilson's signs are constantly being defaced. He's found them tossed in bushes and crumpled up in garbage cans.
It's disheartening for someone in their first time doing this and trying to go forward with a positive message and taking the high road and having our signs destroyed.
There are many theories about who is behind this and why.
It happens every election campaign. People have their signs stolen, vandalized in one way or another. It could, of course, be opposition camps doing this to their opponents, or it could just be teenagers out doing what teenagers do.
I just think that sometimes people don't feel comfortable coming and talking to us, so they take out their concerns on something that is representative.
It means campaign volunteers who would normally be knocking on doors have been moved to sign duty.
My sign team is doing daily rounds, looking at the signs and working with them and trying to bring them back up.
We're going out right after this interview actually to put up more signs that have been destroyed.
Candidates have a message for whoever is trashing the signs.
Stop destroying signs, stop destroying people's property, and let the democratic process play out on October 19th.
I invite people, come talk to me. Come and talk to me, come and say hi.
Rather than destroy your signs.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News, North Vancouver.
Police arrested 3 teens involved in the beating of a 13-year-old girl. Graphic video of the horrific attack was shared widely, and the victim's father demands justice. He said that this wasn't a fight but a coordinated assault. CTV's Yasmin Gandam has more information and a warning: some of the images and content in this story are disturbing.
A video taken at Gyro Beach in Kelowna Friday night shows a 13-year-old girl surrounded by dozens of teens and then beaten unconscious.
I don't want anybody to ever have to watch their kid go through that.
Police say 5 teens have been identified in the attack and 3 have been arrested. All of the suspects are under the age of 18 and have since been released on strict conditions.
We'll be monitoring them to ensure they're complying with these conditions and attending any future court dates.
By law, Mounties are unable to say who the suspects are or where they go to school, but confirm approximately 30 people were in this crowd, and only 2 tried to help the victim.
I'm tired of hearing it. I love the support. I'm tired of hearing kids are getting hurt all the time.
RCMP are asking the public to stop sharing videos of the attack because it may further traumatize the victim, who is already suffering from bruised ribs and a concussion.
While the conversation and work around ending violence is paramount, the continuous sharing of this video is not aiding in a collective stand against violence.
This psychologist at the University of Victoria says the video bears a disturbing resemblance.
Well, of course, this rings bells of the 14-year-old girl who died in Victoria.
She worked with police who found Rena Verk's body decades ago in 1997 while she was researching youth violence at the university. Verk was beaten and killed by a group of teenagers lured to a bridge in Saanich, just outside of Victoria.
I think the difference now between this and 1998, of course, is that this can be recorded, and they frequently are recorded. And the people who are perpetrating these problems are held accountable.
This video is now evidence in the case, along with surveillance footage in the area. So far, no charges have been laid. Yasmin Gandam, CTV News, Vancouver.
Turning to tonight's weather, the North Coast is expecting to get a chance of showers as well as a low at 6 degrees. The Terrace-Kitimat area will most likely see periods of rain at a low of 6 degrees too. And the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District should deal with periods of rain of their own, while their low sits at 2 degrees. On the North Coast, the week for them will see essentially nothing but rain and clouds, while the high bounces between 11 and 14 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, their upcoming week will also include all rainy conditions too, while the high jumps between 13 and 9 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, rain and clouds will populate their entire next week or so, as the high shifts from 9 to 14 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there is bridge maintenance, other maintenance, utility work, construction work, line painting, shoulder maintenance, paving operations, and the Usk Ferry is out of service due to maintenance, but the cable car is in effect. Highway 37 has some utility work, roadside brushing, and slippery sections, and there is some more construction work and maintenance and flooding on the Nishka Highway. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, Iran and Israel seem close to engaging in a full-on war. Welcome back. The world is watching as Israel and Iran appear to be closing towards all-out conflict, with both sides issuing warnings, and yet world leaders insist that a diplomatic solution is still possible. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
Israel released video today showing its troops in southern Lebanon. Not seen, intense fighting with Hezbollah. Israel says 8 of its soldiers were killed in the first day and a half of its ground invasion into Lebanon. We are at the height of a difficult war against Iran, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, as his government weighs its response to Iran's missile barrage Tuesday night.
One that's probably clear is going to happen is attacking the launch sites of the missiles that were launched towards Israel. That's the minimum that I think is going to happen.
Israel could also hit nuclear sites in Iran. It's something U.S. President Joe Biden has been discussing with other G7 countries and says he opposes.
All 7 of us agree that they have a right to respond, but they should respond in proportion.
Iran fired more than 180 missiles at Israel yesterday, using some of its most advanced weaponry. One death has been reported, a Palestinian man who was hit by missile shrapnel in the occupied West Bank. In Gaza, Israeli airstrikes in Khan Yunis killed at least 51 people, according to Gaza's health ministry. The IDF says Hamas has embedded command centers within schools where displaced people are sheltering. Hamas has also taken responsibility for the attack in Jaffa on Tuesday. 2 gunmen opened fire on a train, killing at least 7 people. The escalation of violence on multiple fronts prompted an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council. Just hours before, Israel announced it had barred Secretary General Antonio Guterres from entering the country, accusing him of not forcefully condemning Iran's missile attack. Guterres did condemn it during the meeting, while also calling for a ceasefire.
This deadly cycle of tit-for-tat violence must stop.
It's a call reiterated by Canada's Prime Minister.
As an international community, we have to continue to do everything we can to call for peace and stability, which means calling for a ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel, calling for a ceasefire in Gaza.
G7 leaders released a joint statement today expressing their concern over the escalation of violence in the last 24 hours, while also insisting a diplomatic solution is still possible. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
A food delivery company is taking aim at the BC NDP. DoorDash announced new fees on all deliveries in the face of new BC legislation aiming to improve the wages of gig workers. CTV's Craig Krause reports further.
How has it been being a driver with DoorDash?
Oh, it's good, not bad.
A wage hike up to nearly $21 per hour while making deliveries before tips.
It's getting slow, but still I'm making good money.
A guaranteed wage for DoorDash drivers made possible by the BC NDP as part of their fair wage legislation for gig workers. But weeks after coming into effect, the company is looking to offset its losses, announcing that all orders made in BC will include a new fee of 99 cents for restaurant deliveries and up to $2.99 for all others. BC NDP leader David Eby responding Wednesday.
We used to have the lowest minimum wage in Canada. Now we have the highest and one of the lowest unemployment rates. Part of the secret of our province is supporting our people, and that is the same whether you're a DoorDash driver or you're an executive somewhere downtown. Making sure that British Columbians are supported is the priority.
Leaving customers with a higher bill and reconsidering using the service.
That would definitely stop me.
If it's like a 5-minute drive, I might as well just go out myself, take that 5-minute ride and take it.
But it's not just customers feeling the brunt of the legislation.
Small business owners are at their wits' end.
Facing rising costs of keeping the doors open, something the Canadian Federation of Independent Business says the province needs to address immediately.
We need to see more conscientious regulations from the government that factor in that small business owners need to make a living too, as well as their employees. Of course, we want to see, standards and pay for workers increase, but at a rate that's reasonable.
In the meantime, the cost of living in the Lower Mainland remains high, and delivery drivers are caught in the middle of a dispute with an uncertain future.
We haven't found any much difference, but yeah, that is the only thing I have to say. Yeah, we are getting the orders, right now. Yeah.
And the changes at DoorDash may not be over. The company says that it is closely monitoring the regulations here in the province and that further changes impacting not only customers but also businesses and drivers could be on the horizon in the coming months. Craig Crow, CTV News, Vancouver.
Weather experts are predicting the need for warm jackets this winter because it will likely be colder and wetter than usual. Fall is expected to be mild, but December will see both snowy and frigid conditions. CTV's Ben Nesbitt has the details.
Take a trip through Vancouver in the early days of fall and you're bound to see people dressed for all sorts of conditions. For some, a trip to the beach still means soaking up some rays or swimming. For others, it's already time for winter gear.
Just like I'm wearing it so that I don't feel cold and it keeps me warm.
Environment and Climate Change Canada says we're currently seeing temperatures above seasonal average. They're expecting that trend to continue for the next few months. However, the days of clear skies and sunshine are numbered, with a series of rainstorms expected to hit the region fairly soon.
I would take the days that are clear and nice and warm and maximize them. Go jump in some crispy leaves because the soggy ones are also coming.
Environment Canada says the warmer temperatures will likely be followed by a La Nina weather pattern that could arrive in December, leading to colder and wetter conditions than normal.
It doesn't guarantee snow events right to sea level. It just helps maybe see it.
Haunted by the rush hour debacles from recent snowstorms, some Vancouverites are hoping the white stuff stays away.
Any snow here, everything collapses, so it's not fun.
Tire requirements for the region are now in place until the end of April. All vehicles will need winter tires and commercial vehicles will also need chains. Routes impacted include the Coquihalla, Sea to Sky, and the Trans-Canada east of Chilliwack. Ben Nesbitt, CTV News, Vancouver.
And now we turn our attention to the stock markets. The Canadian dollar is down 26/10 of a cent, the price of gold is up $9.50, oil is up $3.61, natural gas is up 8 cents, aluminum is the same as yesterday. In Toronto, the TSX is down 33.05 points, the Venture Index is down 0.25, in New York, the Dow Jones is down 184.93, and Nasdaq is down 6.64. Still ahead is a look into an organization that provides mental health support for kids. Welcome back. Kids Help Phone is known for supporting youth mental health across Canada, and as technology continues advancing, the organization's using it to reach more kids in need. CTV's Pauline Chan reports.
A new campaign features some of Canada's top athletes supporting mental wellness and Kids Help Phone. And the service is launching a new initiative called Accelerator in partnership with the Vector Institute.
A 13-year-old who is experiencing panic attacks for the first time because they're being bullied at school shouldn't have to know exactly how to describe how they're feeling or exactly how to ask for help. We are building machine learning models that can translate youth language into a clinical context.
The process, still under development, uses AI to interpret a child's non-clinical language and better respond to their needs. Last year, Kids Help Phone responded to 4.7 million calls, their highest number ever, and a quarter of those calls involved the topic of suicide.
We see a growing volume around suicide, which is the second leading cause of death for young people in Canada.
Accelerator also promises to help Kids Help Phone staff.
Our Accelerator is investing in purpose-built technology for our frontline staff who have unique needs. It's not fair that they would be force-fit onto call center platforms that are developed for customer service agents. Helplines deserve purpose-built technology that help them stay focused on their clinical experience and can do things like automating administrative tasks or making sure that the reference material that they need on a shift is readily available.
Kids Help Phone says it's working with clients and staff to develop Accelerator in the coming months. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
That's all of our news for now. From everyone at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.